What's up?
Yo, dude, what's up?
Does this work? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good. I hear you fine.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, let's we can uh we can small talk while this number builds up a little bit. Get some people in here. Where are you? You at the house or are you at the gym?
At the gym in a little studio in the front.
That's on the right. When you
Yeah.
walk in, it's on the right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Used to
So,
be like a bar, Pilates or whatever we rented it out for. Now it's just sometimes we film in here.
oh, okay, cool, cool.
We store my kids' bikes, their winter jackets.
Uh,
What's
how
going on
big
there?
the I gotta I'll fly out tomorrow. It's not much of a secret, but I still travel every week. I don't check in on Facebook because I don't want to hear anybody's mouth, you know.
Yeah,
But I do everything I'm supposed to do with all the rules and whatnot. And it's work. You know, it got to a point you can't. We all have our own standards of which to take risk, you know, and then when I only get a little fussy when other people project their risk profile onto you, except their context is totally different. You know,
yeah.
so what's
Where are you flying out to?
tomorrow I'll go to Houston. So
Okay.
I'll leave in the morning and then I'll get back on the last flight Friday. And usually when I go to Tampa is a bye week this week. So another player that I handle, I have someone else usually go to see him on a weekly basis. So I'll check in and see if we need a reset on anything and hopefully get him sorted out for the last couple games of the year.
Okay. Oh yeah, Houston has a bye week late. Here, let me just.
So Tampa has the bye week this week. Houston already had the bye week earlier in the year.
Let me see what's happening here.
What are you looking up? The schedule?
No,
Uh,
I sent it out to a few people to check it out.
oh, okay.
It's,
All right. Yeah, so what's the latest up there, man? They keep jerking you around, huh?
yeah, yeah.
So how'd it go? What was the time frame? You know, here I think New York and New Jersey, et cetera, might have been a little bit behind, and then obviously got whacked, and then everything probably was closed in April, and then things started to open up back in I'm guessing September, to a degree, and
Yeah,
then
so
everything kind of
go.
stayed open. There's been a little bit of reversal, like for instance in Connecticut they had these rules where gyms open. If you're 6 feet apart, you have to wear a mask, which is whatever. Wear a mask. Like it's not the end of the world.
Yeah,
And then like I'm not in that boat that thinks this horrible thing. Like whatever,
yeah,
wear, make me wear whatever. But if you were 12 feet apart, you were good, but you didn't have to wear a mask. So if you
really.
set up your gym, so I in my logic, I'm like, okay, yo, JC, at 11'8", dude, you're in trouble, man. Dude, 11 feet 8 inches, do not. Hey, but 12'2", you're good. You're nice.
Yeah,
You can do backflips. You're good.
but you're
Uh,
you're you're allowed to be open then.
yeah, everything's open by law. Like I think all the gyms still have significant restrictions on the percent capacity. That's everywhere. But
What about New York?
yeah, so that's open. Like
Really?
they're yeah. I don't know what the restrictions are because when I was telling you the other day, even from from the onset, physical therapy is considered essential. So we didn't have to shut down. Now volume went down enormous. So basically, like the gym is closed as a protection to the public, except the gym is never open. It's the physical therapy that's
Yeah,
inside this space. So the spirit is that the facility is safe enough if you require physical therapy. Now, if somebody were to like get up in my face and be like, the type of therapy that we're providing and the environment that we're providing is not essential, I'd be like, whatever, get it, don't bother me. Like I'm going by the law.
Yeah, yeah,
Like everybody played. I kind of took like a nice voice and like, okay, I can still tell you we never contacted anybody. We never shook anybody's tree. Hey, we're open. Hey, JC, we got to take care of your knee, man. You haven't been in a while. Like nothing, nothing like that. These were people
yeah.
that they were people that asked. And then the reality is, you know, you ever been to Drive in the city? You ever came by
Never,
ever? I mean,
never. I think I might have been there a long time ago for George might have had a press conference, like not like a open workout when we were doing shows in New Jersey and New York was not allowed. He'd
right,
come
right.
into the city and do like shoots and press conferences at different gyms. So I don't know if it was Drive, but it
Well,
was
that
definitely
still would have been during. Well, maybe not. It could have been before my time, but anyway, it's the most one of the most gorgeous gyms in the city. Huge space, and we had maximum 4 or 5 people in about 8,000 square feet. So
yeah,
the level and it was still being cleaned, whether it was by us or by staff. So there was, and everybody's wearing a mask. And the other thing that we did, so it's the kind of building where the elevator takes you right into the gym. So you get off the elevator, you're in the gym.
yeah,
But there's like a gate, like kind of like a grease truck kind of looking thing, like that way if you did have access to the elevator when the gym is closed, you put the gate down and you basically are going to set off the alarm if you get through the gate. So what we would do is keep the gate closed, and I would say to the next person, like, okay, hey, if you have a 3 o'clock appointment and you see the gate is closed, please know that we're still here. It's just that we're only letting in people that way you never cross with someone that is not necessary for you to cross. So I feel like we obviously there was no issues, and then with my travel, being tested, etc., being around the types of individuals that can affect another 53 guys, kind of done everything okay. So that's and then Drive closed in the middle of September, and then I waited a little bit. We just found another office somewhere else, just so that if there were people, I mean, volume is through the dumper, but we
but the
were
gym's
always,
closed. The gym's
yeah,
closed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Don closed it up, and probably I don't think there's an inch of at least from what I know, like totally the right decision, given everything involved.
yeah.
So it's totally support that choice. And like what we found another place, I could have held out or whatever. It's a short term thing, and we're still seeing people, but I haven't really pushed. I think Jan 1 or sooner, then we'll start to market again and be this beacon, because we can still do a little bit of fitness in this smaller gym, and
Yeah.
but we'll see. We just
But
we're
not
there
with
for
Dawn. You're basically doing it. You're going to go by yourself, right?
yeah. So that's so, but I also have an office in Westchester County, more north, closer to where we live in Greenwich, and then even more north in Connecticut. So again, like I didn't have to close
Yeah.
those offices. Like I just have a key anyway, and it's a little bit of a warped logic where if you want to come into that building to lift weights, no, not safe. But if you want to come into that same building and use the same weights under a physical therapist's
It's
supervision,
allowed. Yeah.
hey, and that's I took advantage of that. Whereas I wasn't as vocal about it several months ago because look, it feels fishy. But right now
Yeah.
it's like F it, like it's I see so many people, that have lost a lot, and I if I had to try to be defensive for myself, I'd say like I'm intelligent with my responsibilities and my money, etc. But if you go to zero, I mean it's now I'm diversified, and the big thing, and I'm just so proud, was that Allie just dominated, like she just exploded.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have so much other stuff going on. Like my revenue isn't going to be dramatically down this year to last year because I keep growing in other spaces. in the consulting, et cetera. But the thing with Allie, she was already primarily online. So if people were kind of, all right, like they got pushed over the edge and now they're looking for an online, solution for
Yeah.
whatever, whether it's nutrition or training, she was already kind of front of mind because she was already doing that.
Yeah.
And she just done very, very, very well. It's really, really cool. So that's kind of it. And then what I did was, because a lot of her clients that she was seeing live, she could not legally see them, but I could. So I just took over, what she was doing, and
Yeah.
it's totally above board. Like it's I did a podcast with some marketing character. I'm not too familiar with his work, but I kind of wanted. I told him this is what I'll talk about, and he's like, "This is awesome!" Like about how when gyms were closed, you could, if you had a physiotherapist or a chiro or any healthcare provider, if they're there, you can do business as usual.
That's
Like
what we heard. Yeah. That's
I
what we
don't
heard too.
I don't know, and I don't know if everybody took advantage of that, because you really need to have a very, very good relationship with the with the healthcare provider, because there is risk on the part of the healthcare provider that they're assuming, but there's a way to do it, and I mapped it all out. But he did some weird thing where it's like, to get the real goods, you had to pay to listen to a podcast. I don't know, whatever. It was fine, but so we were able to. I was able to see her clients, and then that opened her up to take more online, and it's turned into now once we got out of it, once football started for me in the summer, everything's been my schedule's kind of normal now,
Yeah.
where I'm just not I'm in the city one day a week, which is if it was really busy this time last year, it would have been 2 days a week. It would not have been 3. So that's where we're at here. But yeah, other state, because every state is different. Like I think where you're at in Ontario, where I'm most times, they're kind of together, in their restrictions. But
Well, we were a bit worse than them. I spoke to Matt Nickel today, and
yeah,
they're locked. I mean, they're locked down, but they were able to open up at some point.
yeah. So
We're locked.
I can come in, like I'm my the attorney that I use to for my immigration. He's like, you're fine, you can come, but I still have to, just like every single person has to do the 14 days, and then but it didn't matter, because if we had played in the games that just happened for the window for FIBA for qualifying for
Yeah.
2024, we wouldn't have been able to practice. So let's say everybody did show up 2 weeks ahead, which is a significant thing for everybody. That's just
You're
not
locked
what
in
we.
your hotel room.
Yeah, it's like not what we do. It's like you're gonna ask player. The second division, well, not second division, but like the non-Euro league. That's the top league in Europe. The league below, and a lot of those players are just as good as the top players. They're the ones that could play in these windows. So they would they wouldn't their break would not have happened early enough to support the 14 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then even if we did all that, we didn't have a place to practice. And now you're like the national team that's somehow going to find a loophole. Not a good look.
Yeah.
So all of our the front office and the stuff, they just handled it, and it was look, if it was just me, I'm sure the show would go on. But
Where are they out of now? Where would they practice now?
nothing. Like we just didn't.
Zero.
Yeah. So I don't know what the status of the 2 games. Like if we get a chance to make them up, because you do need the points to qualify for 2023 and 2024. But I don't know the status of it. It was other teams are playing all over the world. I think the games are kind of done now, but or maybe not. I don't know when they were scheduled, but yeah, like from what I hear, Toronto is all on lock.
Yeah. Toronto's not doing well, but we're
Yeah,
doing actually just as bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
What
We're
was
doing.
the time frame though? Because you were able to open up, right?
Well, we were myself and Maddie. We went to. Are you familiar with XP in Miami? It's like a football
Yeah, 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 yeah. I've
facility.
heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. So we were training. I was training a few athletes out of XPE in March. So I was there in March, and just by chance, we came home on I'm going to say March 14th, and on the 15th, everything was locked down. So we were
Yeah.
lucky, and we didn't have to do the 14-day quarantine based on when we came back. So we missed it by a day, and then the gym closed the next day, and everything was locked down. So literally, no school, no gym. You weren't even allowed. So we were locked down till I want to say maybe July of nothing, of gym not being open, like zero. And then in July they put in restrictions on, okay, you can have X amount of people in the gym per square, I don't know if per square footage, and we opened up regularly, but you've seen the gym when the gym's humming. There's classes going on. There's a lot of people in the gym,
Yeah.
so we had to cut everything by more than half of any class we did. Same restriction. We didn't have to wear masks in the gym to start, and then it was masks were you had to wear a mask if you were in a common area. So if you were walking around not in the gym, or if you're in the washrooms, people weren't allowed using the showers or the locker room. So it went from there, and then the cases got so bad, I think in October they shut everything down again. So completely locked down, and now there's a gray area with one-on-one training. So therapy is allowed. So a lot of the hockey players that I know of they're going to skate. They're going through the back way of a gym that's not in a red zone, and
Yeah.
you have to, if they get caught, they have to say there's a therapist in the building and they're there for therapy or something like that. But other than that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only gray area there is. Myself and Maddie, we went online with those free lives as of I think the first day of lockdown, and we just went till the gyms opened up again.
Yeah. But that's turned into, like when I talk about like some things that you're kind of pushed into, that's going to be like a regular thing for you now. Like you've done all this
Yeah,
filming with you and your wife, and it's probably a good revenue thing.
it's great. I mean, that's what's actually
So
yeah.
talk about that. Like what did you guys decide to do? And because the shutdown kind of pushed you towards it.
Exactly.
Good idea. You're probably never against it. I was never against online training, but I did it, and we pushed into it a little bit. So talk a little bit about that, like what everybody sees these snippets on
Yeah.
social.
So I never was into online training. I just didn't have the time for it because everything was in person,
Yeah,
and I'm still, I was doing 70 hours a week at the gym. So online never occurred to me at all, and I just couldn't get into it. I was just too busy. So once the lockdown hit, I was doing these live classes, like we call them, like live classes, where it's either way, lower body conditioning, upper body, full body, different types of let's say workouts, and people loved them. So we are getting huge followings, like Maddie. We were getting like 1,500 people, 1,000 people on an IG live, and we just kept doing it for we had nothing else to do, to be honest. I mean, I was
yeah,
doing a few Zooms a day of people who were at home, but we just came in every morning. We did these religiously almost every day of the week, and then the gym popped in. So some of the trainers did, like, let's say 1 day a week, 2 days a week, and we had these great people just loved them. And then once we opened up again, we were like, we might as well keep doing this and have it as another income. And it's just when I say taking off, it's great that we're still filming them every week. Myself and Maddie, we put together a few days a week to film, but it's just worked out well. Is that people who are scared to go to gyms, or the gyms are closed and they can't get in, are able to sort of work out with us. And it went from being just these intense classes where it's just nonstop and full body, and to now in the library, we have an exercise library, so I can actually put together a workout of something I do that would be less, it would be more something I would prescribe to a client than just an overall workout that there's no, what I mean? Like it's not
yeah,
one
yeah,
exercise after the other. It's more, it's more of a program I would design. So
yeah,
we have
yeah,
exercise library like that. We have classes. We have even small little, if people only have 20 minutes, they do their workout twice, like that we set up. So it's worked out well. I'm happy about it, and there's no end in sight when it comes to we just set our record case today, so there's no way that
Yeah.
the government's going to open up any time before, let's say, February, March.
Yeah. Well, the next time I have to be up there is February, so hopefully things are better then. I mean, again, I can cross. I'm allowed,
Yeah.
but I don't know that I have 14 days, or Canada Basketball has a location for me to camp out for 14
But
days
by then,
on
by then
their
it won't be
dollar.
14 days. By then it won't be 14 days.
Yeah,
By
it'll
then
be different.
it'll be probably like, as long as you get tested, it'll probably be like 7 days. Who knows? I mean, with the
Yeah,
vaccine, who knows what they're gonna do?
yeah. Anyway. All right. So that's all the present. Let's go back. Like, I was trying to tell Ali asked if she ever met you. I don't think she has, because we probably met the first time almost 15 years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been a day.
it's crazy. As you were working, I don't know if it's Galileo. What was the vibrating platform? What was it called?
Oh, it was Galileo. In North America, they called it different. So in the period of time that I had finished in the NBA, but before I went to Marine Corps, I buddied with that company because I had bought it when I was with the Sixers,
Yeah.
and that that was, I mean, just like a lot of these consultant things, they kind of evaporate after a while. But that was the time where Power Play had just like
Oh
dumped
no.
like blip millions and millions,
Yeah.
just giving them away like candy. Like, I wish people had known at that time, like if they really knew how many people didn't buy a Power Plate, if they would have still been so favorable towards it. Because if they knew how many people got them for free or just got them at cost, it was pretty
We
staggering.
got
So
we got a we got a wave for free. Remember the wave?
yeah, sure.
So
That
we
was like
got a wave
a
for
big
free.
one, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So we got a wave for free, and but again, at that point, I didn't know much about any kind of vibrating platform. I think you were just in the it was a Perform Better seminar, and you were just in the, I guess, in the showroom with
Yeah, because Perform Better was selling it. Yeah.
yeah.
That's so that might have been like what, like '06, '07 or something like that. But
Long time ago.
yeah. And now at that time you had a gym more in the city, right? Or that's where you
You
train
know,
guys.
literally the gym is probably around 4 minutes away from where my gym is now, but
Oh, okay.
it was only private, so we didn't allow any, nobody could get a membership, nobody can come in, and I just did, I just did privates there. That's where all the, GSPs, Russell
Yeah.
Martins, and all those guys train to
Some of
start.
your original videos.
Yeah, exactly. They were done. It was
Those
like,
those videos look like it was in like a high rise though. Was it in a
it was,
building or?
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
second
yeah.
floor of like a 2-floor building, and it was probably around, I want to say 2,500 square feet, but it was, pretty much just me. And, it was perfect for that. The rent wasn't that bad, and
Yeah.
it was great. It was great. I
And
actually
then
missed it a bit.
obviously working with George set off a lot of really cool things. And
Hmm.
then did you have a space in between there and where you're at now, or you went right into there?
I didn't. It was actually a weird story. Is that so? Russell Martin at the time, I think he was with. I want to say he was with the Yankees, but we we were going to open up a gym together, and to transition from wherever we were, and it fell through. And I had gotten out of my lease. I went to court. I had to get out of my lease, so I had to find a spot within a matter of like a month, where I had no place to go. And we found this place. Luckily, it worked out, and we built it slowly. I was working out of here with garbage, like there was not garbage bags, but like plastic bags, while we were
Everywhere.
doing construction at the same time.
Well, it's a fantastic space. We were over there. Well, I guess we'll say, well, might be by now. Like your reference of time right now
It's
is like
crazy, yeah,
minus 1 year. So I think it might have
yeah,
been 2 years ago we were there, right? And
yeah.
it's so what? It's pretty big space, at least 5,000 square feet minimum.
It's not 9,000,
Yeah,
maybe
at
even
least.
more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think the summer before we were up there, we connected in LA. That was the first time we connected in person.
Exactly.
So
You were presenting.
yeah. So and I said, hey, we're gonna be up that way, to do our qualifying games.
Yeah.
And I remember I don't know who it was, in the little group. They're like, as I was walking away, they're like, "Who is that?"
Yeah.
And it turns out. So here's the cool story. And Allie's in earshot, so she's heard this story. So we stayed in downtown Montreal. So
Yeah.
getting to your gym is a little ride, but not like ridiculous. Like it's especially if you go at the right time.
Yeah.
So we can you had us come in. We could get our workouts in, and so I walk in, and we all got our Canada basketball gear on with about 7 or 8, 6'6" and above.
Yeah.
Now first off, your facility, and I said this to you, is and I've said this publicly, as far as what looks like high intensity kind of fitness, maybe not necessarily like if it's athletic development is very, very early in the sequence for performance. This was like general pop. I have not seen that much good form from what I think are general population people
Yeah.
doing significant 90% above activities, and
Yeah.
that's very impressive. But you have the layout that makes sense for what you're trying to do, where your methods fit the equipment, it fits the flow, but you don't see people looking horrendous. Like
Yeah.
and
It's
usually
tough.
with
Yeah.
that type of training, you're gonna see people look like clowns.
Yeah.
And everybody looked really, really good. So
There,
so
there's
I
a,
didn't.
there's one. Anna Sky just put a thumbs up. She's actually one of the people that I film a lot at the gym.
Uh-huh.
Unbelievable shape. Like again, someone who came with not the, she wasn't like a, she wasn't out of shape, but she definitely she's one of the top people we have here now.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well,
It's the growth of a lot of people you see are people that are not coming to be professional athletes, but they're able to train a bit more athletically. Again, we want to stay away from, we want to be as far away from CrossFit as possible.
yeah, yeah.
While,
I didn't
but
get any sense of that. There was no sense of that.
yeah, no, we don't, we wouldn't want that. But
Yeah.
you still need to, especially in that space, you need to still have the classes and the workouts where the general pop will still want to come in, work out, and it be different than. So it's like a fine line of you don't want people doing dangerous things where they're going to get hurt. You still want them challenging themselves, and it's that fine line. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously that group that I saw and the ones that you put on your videos, these aren't people that just walked in your gym yesterday. These people they've been training for a period of time.
yeah,
So their training age is more than zero. But to keep up, for however long they were going in that class was very, very impressive.
yeah,
But here's the story now. Maybe this is a plug for the gym, because of the group, particularly the young ladies, that is a significantly group of very, very attractive females. So
yeah,
now, if you now my Allie's right there. She's beautiful, number one. So it doesn't matter. I'm allowed to say all this. Your wife is obviously very attractive. We're allowed to say these things. There's a and they're all looking the part. And then so I'm in there with professional basketball players. So they start talking, they start chattering. So remember, I started this story by saying that we connected in person about a few months before in LA. So at least a good half dozen of these attractive young ladies are talking to me and not the basketball players.
yeah.
To this day, that story has legs on our WhatsApp groups and whatever. And like the players can't say a word. They're like, "Yep, hashtag true story, true story." Yeah, like no, they were talking to me. They're not talking to you. So
Yeah.
that was fantastic. That was a lot of fun, because if I got something over those guys at any point, then I'm gonna ride it until I can't ride it anymore.
They're more impressed with functional training than they are with professional basketball.
Well, they those guys are used to doing whatever they want, so that was fun. And
Yeah.
if I need to get them to shut up every one time, like, hey, maybe we'll go back to Montreal and you could act the part. So that's I think probably when I was there, I think I don't know if people would realize this. I mean, you see a professional basketball player, you kind of know who you could tell, like, okay, this is probably professional basketball player. But a lot of professional athletes that come through there, they might look like regular people, like
Yeah.
hockey players. A lot, might even be my height, or if you're 2 inches taller than me, then you're tall. So our height, and then a lot of the fighters, don't always look significantly intimidating.
Exactly.
So I don't know if there was any of them in there at that time, but the fighters that I've dealt with, if they're a big name, you kind of know who they are, even if they're not this giant. And the more the amateurs are some of the more bigger guys. But that's that I couldn't. But I'm sure they're probably training a lot of the same ways that you see those general fitness. If they're just getting in shape, right?
No, I mean, I like to separate the athletes, like whether they're fighters or the only thing that that definitely different from the general public is that a hockey player and a fighter and I want to say football player, but they'll be similar in the way they train. The only thing that really, depending on where they are in their progression is their work to rest ratio on their conditioning. I mean, a lot of the lifts will be similar. I mean, it won't be so different from a hockey player to a fighter. Just that, a fighter has it pretty tough, as they have probably around 19 practices a week. Their bodies will break down a bit faster than a hockey player that'll be here during the off season, and you don't know how many times on the ice. But other than that, they're just seeing you. Same thing with a baseball player. Is they're pretty much just seeing you, their therapist, and they're doing whatever they want on the side, and they might be hitting some balls, but they're not really going that hard. So different than I don't really like to have the professional athletes do those classes that much. Mm-hmm. They will. It'll depending on. It'll actually almost be like a fun thing for them to jump in once a month, something like that. But
we call it a do whatever you want Wednesday or do whatever you want weekend.
Exactly.
And if they wound up with a lighter week for whatever reason that the programming was, you can bring some heat on a Wednesday and get into some what I would call a concentric heart training, where if you can maintain form at a significantly high heart rate, then that it kind of other people might describe that as lactic. That's not what I'm looking at, because that's not the problem. But I'm trying to give them an opportunity. If you can maintain output at very, very high heart rates, well, that means your intended movement is more precise. Yeah. Instead of like this, you're on a bike and you're looking like you're crazy. So you're just crawling across the finish line and you're giving 100% effort. So you've got that super high heart rate, but so you're still working on the concentric heart, boom, 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 boom. But now with all that buildup of the byproducts of that type of environment, it'll screw with your form. Yeah. So we're never going to put them into anything less than a controlled setting. So when it comes to grappling, okay, sometimes I'm the guy, but we'll do like a gauntlet, but we'll tell the replacement guys to make him work on something. Okay. So now it's feeding that beast. It's very high heart rate concentric training, but everybody is under conditions to make them practice something multiple times under that high heart rate. Because if it's just random, like in basketball, the defense will always make the players do certain things. So now because it's complete nonsense, in my opinion, well, you're going to be tired, so you got to train tired. Well, exactly, yeah. Rule number one, don't get tired, and there's a whole model of training. But especially in fighting, in wrestling, in boxing, etc., the level of like how you have to stretch out your cardio is different than other sports. There is no stop start. Exactly. So there is some respect to that, but at the same time, if you just keep bringing it and try to work on technical skills, you're like trying to thread a needle, and you're lucky if you can start to get quality practice. So how do you what I'm describing is how we might look at blending that nonsense of like, well, you got to train, this way because you're going to play that way, and good motor learning, good motor skills, good motor practice, motor skill acquisition. And that's how we bring it together. So it's still controlled, because if you're going to practice, you got to do similar conditions over and over again.
Exactly.
Now, if the defense is just doing what they want and you don't pin the guy to make him go right all the time, well, then he's not going to work on what he does in the right corner when he gets trapped with 32 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
So that's what we've done primarily with wrestling, where I can participate, is make the guy that's just gassed, you make him do certain things. Like you attack him the same. Every guy will attack, within their own skills, but they're always going to go after his left leg, or they're always going to look for his wrist. They're always going to look for certain things so that under high, very costly conditions, they can get some reps. The goal is to get quality reps. So
that's what happened. The poor part about when I came into strength and conditioning is through combat sports, old school boxing was the way of, that's what everybody knew about when it came to training. So your training was, back in the day, was how boxers trained. They didn't touch weights. They went for long jogs. And it was, when I came about, I tried to bring that athletic training into it. So we wouldn't, there's no such thing as, when people say they train, it's a 5-minute round with 5 minutes on, 1 minute off, and they think that it's, a 5-to-1 work to rest, that you're going to go crazy for 5 minutes. You get 1 minute to sit down and go. So that's when people were building those. It went from going slow and long to people were building these circuits where it was crazy, 30 seconds of the airline bike all out, ball slams. And people are still doing that to this day, where form just breaks down, and it's, so even now we're still building those conditioning circuits, but what we're doing is we're giving a lot more rest. So we're trying to have people hit numbers. When they break down, they stop. And especially at that, at least it's controlled. I don't have to worry about anybody, getting hurt with, we try and keep it as far away from CrossFit and Olympic lifts and anything ballistic.
A couple years ago, I did a hands-on where the goal of appreciating that long rest, because I think there's two phases. When you get into those multiple minutes of doing something very intense, I don't think people know really, let's say like 1 minute on an airdyne. I don't think people really know what 1 minute on an airdyne.
No.
They have moved the bike, they've moved their feet for 60 seconds, but they don't know. Most people don't know what 60 seconds of all out, like devastating, like you're gonna die, like that. I don't think they know what that is, because
they don't understand. Like it's a 0.5 or 0.6 on an airdyne bike is you're on the floor dead after.
Yeah. So that's part of one of the protocols that we'll have. We'll get up to as much as 80 seconds. Now this is mainly team sport, so I would not be against going further. But when you get into that, you might be at a 1-to-10 work to rest ratio. Yeah. Now, if that 10 exceeds 5 minutes, it's wrong. Like you're just not fit enough to be getting into this. So the best you could do is 30 seconds on, 5 minutes off. Now, the goal though that we're looking for is, whether it's 60 seconds, you got to hit the next 60 seconds at the same clip. So if you don't have enough rest, so here's what we did. I put 3 people up on airdynes, and they had the heart rate strap on the television. And the first thing that they did was, I said, all right, you guys, like, everybody's yelling, screaming. Let's start to appreciate what 1 minute is, just so you know. So I think the dude on the left, he got up to like 96%, and whatever that is. Okay, he brought it. He brought it. Yeah. The dude in the middle was similar, 95, 96%. The dude on the right was like 92%, maybe 88. He wasn't high. And he was kind of goofy. And I'm like, you probably just didn't do it enough. Like, so you're okay. Don't worry about it. And then everybody's going to rest 5 minutes. And I'm talking and, teaching, whatever. And I'm like, here's how this is going to work. While I'm talking, I'm like, somebody call out the first person that gets down to 60%, because we would think that the person that gets down the fastest is the most fit. And in one
Yeah.
way, that's not ridiculous. However, so if the guy in the middle, he came down the fastest. I said, okay, you're our guy. All right. Now here's how this is going to work.
He was 96% or 92%? 96.
No, yeah, he brought it. He was
Okay.
high. He was high. Everybody went for 1 minute again after everybody got 5 minutes rest. Okay. And they the goofy dude, he got way up. So they all got like 93. They dropped a little bit, but something that I would be totally fine with. And I said, well, he's the most fit, right? You guys said that he got down to 60. So now the two guys on the end wait for 5 minutes, but the guy in the middle has to go when his heart rate is back down.
Okay.
Okay, so now he gets way less rest, but everybody said he's the most fit. So now everybody goes, he does his minute, and then the other guys jump in later. He couldn't get past 83%.
Yeah.
While the other guys, after getting another 5 minutes for their round 3, they got up into the 90s again. And what people I wish would appreciate, whether it's those numbers or whatever, if you don't rest and allow the acid to clear, your central mechanisms, your heart, is awesome. Like he was able to have good recovery of his central cardiac measures, but his peripheral was trash.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why couldn't you do it? And that's where what I was trying to show everybody, that there's a big difference between being fit in the central mechanisms. I keep touching my heart. And the peripheral mechanisms, which are two totally different. And that's how, guys can probably sit in a corner, and you can confirm or deny. Guys sit in the corner, their heart rate probably comes back down, but they can't strike or kick as hard, and they can't last nearly as long as they did to get there, because
yeah,
it's not the heart that they're overcoming. It's clear it's the local muscle acid that after it separates from lactate, and because lactate is useful when you come out of the corner, but it's the hydrogen ions that's what you feel, and that's why taking longer rests is the answer. Like, you have to do it. If you don't, that means your second effort, in theory, second, third, however long it takes, your effort is this high, but your output is here. And when you're dealing, especially with athletes, this is, in my mind, very dangerous, very inefficient way to get after it. And I think that's where a lot of guys get banged up.
And once someone breaks down, once they feel that, and they feel it fill up, and they mentally break, that's dangerous. Because once they're mentally broken, you don't really see them come back. Like, if you watch a fight and you see someone, there's an instance where something will happen. You'll know if you're watching a fight, and you can judge it, and you'll see an effort level. Let's say you're trying to take someone down, you're against the fence, you're trying hard, you're giving. I base it based on numbers, and that's how I'll analyze a fight sometimes, based on how much effort someone puts in. So if you're a striker and you're just striking with me for 5 minute rounds, so 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and 3 rounds, it's not that taxing on you. Now, if you're a striker and I try and take you down, and you got to get up, obviously there's different expenditures. But if I'm trying to take you down, I'm giving my 9 or 10, and I'm doing that for 20 seconds against the cage, 25 seconds. I take you down, you pop back up. Sometimes that happens enough in a fight where someone will break, and then they're broken. And it's very tough for them to get back, mentally and physically, because they'll feel what you're saying physically, but even if they've recovered, they can't come back. And an interesting thing to look at is, I've had it with a few fighters. They've broken physically and mentally, or they're done, and they land something, and a guy goes down, and now all of a sudden they've had such an adrenaline rush that they're able. It's like nothing's happened. They're totally fresh. They have all that energy, and they're either going to finish the fight or they're going to get destroyed, because then they're going to have that dump again, and then they're finished.
Yeah, because that's literally borrowed time right there.
Yeah,
because that's that then you that's some high rent to have that adrenaline rush.
yeah.
So that's a very, very interesting stuff. Are you?
I've never tried the 5-to-1 on that long a distance, though. I might have to look into that. Like, our
Well,
5-to-1s are like I'll go I'll go 15 all out where we want to maintain over 100 miles an hour on the airdyne, and then the entire time, but then they'll get, 50 seconds to a minute rest, and we'll try and
Yeah.
go from there, like shorter bursts.
That to
And
me is a what you'll find with that range, your heart rate won't get up high enough.
that well
Because
depends how many. Yeah, you're right, but depends how many and how quick they can bring it down.
yeah, no, that's just as valuable of a
Yeah,
parameter. But what I think you'll find is that, especially in well-conditioned individuals, after even 30 minutes of that, let's say, make it easy, 15 on, 45 off, make it easy. So you're
yeah,
going to go 30 rounds of that. Your heart rate, it might not even touch 155
no.
because you don't have enough time to get it up, but you're certainly developing a lot of that peripheral stuff. So
But then
it's
I'm looking at how much drop they get on their RPM and on their
that's the
miles an
money.
hour in that time. Yeah,
That's the
that's all I
money.
care
That's
about.
how we're
Yeah,
looking. Yeah, that's what I'm
yeah,
describing.
yeah,
Where you always now, if you just general population and you're just trying to create calorie deficit, as long as you don't get hurt, it's whatever. Like I don't think you're going to get hurt, but looking like a goof on an airdyne. But
yeah,
that's not. I think you're asking for trouble when that person has to reproduce some kind of movement. Now that's why you go with the bike, because the bike is typically forgiving. But
yeah,
uh, but yeah, like if for some for guys that have to go for 5 minutes, it's almost always like when you stretch that out to take that protocol. I would want them to be grappling, doing something that's very close to what they're doing, and then you just give them a ridiculous rest. So it's like you go, and you're not going to get a minute rest. You're going to get 12. You're going to get 15. So like if you go for 4 minutes and take a 15-minute rest, you're going to spend those 4 minutes knowing that you're going to get 15, and
yeah,
and uh, and that's how like think of a 400-meter runner.
yeah,
So like if they're elite, they're in the, let's say they're going to go, 46, 47 for a 90% run. They're probably not going to do another one for an hour.
yeah.
So that's a 1 to 60 or 1 to 59 work to rest ratio. And because their running is their technical skill.
And
They're not,
luckily, their running is cyclical. So basically, if they're it's the same movement, just like you said. Whereas a fighter, sometimes if I would have someone do, let's say a short burst, and they need to recover, some of it has to be active recovery because a fight is never going to be I'm going to go as hard as I can, then I'm going to go sit down and,
yeah.
and and wait. So that's
So you
where
could probably stretch it out. You can stretch out that on phase if it's not all, at
exactly,
100%. Yeah.
exactly.
The stuff that I'm talking about is you're trying to maintain, I made this one up. It's called even effort, the even effort method. So let's say today I'm on the airdyne and I did 30 seconds. So I'm trying to not let it stay out 32 to 30 miles per hour. So because if I go above 32, I'm not going to finish the 30 seconds. But I still want to keep it as high as possible for the entire 30 seconds, and the entire 60 seconds, the entire 80 seconds, whatever it might be. So but if I did the other protocol, I would not typically do the bike for 15 seconds. I would probably do it for half the time.
Yeah,
But let's just say that I could get up to 38 miles an hour. But if I took 38 and then I go like this and I just cross the finish line, I still got my work in. It'll actually average out to be the same, but
yeah,
I crawled across the finish line, and that's, in my mind, you can't get better. So if I stick around 30 to 32, now I got a shot to be 31 the whole time, which then gives me a shot 3 weeks from now to be at 32 the whole time, and then I could be 32 and a half. But if I just go balls out and I go 38-40 for as long as I can, and then I just cross the finish line, I'm going to be totally gassed, and I'll probably get some kind of general fitness goal out of that.
you're not getting better.
But I'll never go faster. I'll never
Yeah,
get to that 31 or 32. These are all things that I learned from Val. When he tried to when not tried when he did unpack some things about Omega Wave, because in order to really understand Omega Wave, he had to explain like how this Eastern Bloc way of training, like we will train for 9 hours per day. dude, you were on the track for 9 hours, but you weren't doing something for nine
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hours. You might have done 9 things in 9 hours per day. So it's interesting how you can learn all, try to see, you know,
You were in
the
Finland
way.
for a while, weren't you? Or you weren't in Finland?
No, there was a couple years, I think 3 years in a row, when Omega Wave. Well, I think Omega Wave is still headquartered there, but Val was there, and that's where he lived. With their, that was everything was happening there. So three winters in a row, we were able to go over there and look at our research from Canada Basketball, but also, I mean, the story was we're driving in because I stayed at his house. They put us in like a lot of the workers' houses. They had extra rooms, and I said, Val, like you always say, Omega Wave is a solution. So it's a solution to your problems because you made this up. You found, you and whatever the other fellow's name is. I said, if I need to if I can understand Omega Wave through your eyes, I'll understand it, because I don't understand enough about how you train people, because Omega Wave is driving your catalog of training choices.
Yeah.
So for the rest of that trip in Finland that you're referencing, he taught us his, for explosive team sport. So that's where you have to tinker a little bit to get into the grappling, where the on phases are much longer. But that's where I started to learn a lot of what most people would call like Eastern Bloc training.
I remember, I'm telling you, I don't know when it was, but I think you would recognize me from training George or something. We're talking, we hit it off, and you were trying to explain to me the platform, and it was like Chinese to me. You were way too smart for me, and you were talking about shearing and angles and this and that, and the Omega is this compared to the, and I was I was trying to just nod my head and just not look too stupid and just trying to understand and then just go on my
I
way.
don't remember. I
Yeah.
gotta get better, man. I gotta get better.
It was
So
crazy. You were going to so much science about, and that was I mean, Omega at all. Power plate controlled the marketplace. So all I've at that point, all I had seen was power plate, but I didn't even know about vibrating platforms. So
yeah, yeah.
it was all, I knew nothing about it.
Well, it doesn't seem like any of them stood the test of time. But anyway, I think at that time, Galileo, which is different than Omega Wave. Omega Wave is like the readiness measure. At that time, Galileo dominated the world. In North America, that's where power plate had done very well, because the fellow who I worked for just wouldn't keep up. Like, whether he didn't have the money or whatever, but power plate just flooded the market, man.
Yeah.
Every team had one. And look, if you're gonna use it, just lay on it. It's like a big, put a foam roller on it. But I think most people know when you stand on it, you feel it in your eyes and you feel it in your teeth, and like, it's
Yeah.
hey, if you think that's okay, go ahead, you do it. Well,
Yeah.
you're supposed to bend your knees. Well, what if I don't want to bend my knees? Why should I have to do it in this particular way? It's a scientific, anyway. So but I'm not up to date anymore on that stuff. If I had access to a Galileo, I definitely use it especially in post surgical stuff. But I don't think it's necessary for a training.
That's the only way we were using the wave in the end is we'd put a foam roller on. We let
Yeah,
guys roll on. And that's about it. We wouldn't
yeah,
let anybody. I mean, when after actually Chris Letang, when he personally for himself, when he felt like he had so many byproducts built up in his legs, he would lie. He would put his legs on and lie on it, or he step like
yeah.
he, and mentally it would help him out. Physically, I guess so too. But
But I mean, I
we
remember on the one that you have, they were pushing that you could do like Olympic lifts. They would put a freaking bench on it or some nonsense like that. Like that's
yeah. But
yeah,
any tool that people come out with now, like even great tools that you would use, like when I was sponsored by TRX, TRX is a great tool for a few exercises. Like it's great for, let's say, inverted rows, like a body, like whatever you're going to use it for. But they would build their manuals based on your whole routine has to be built. You're not touching a weight. You're basically doing everything based off of TRX. The same thing with power plate.
yeah, yeah,
Their whole workout routine is we're going to squat, we're going to do our push-ups, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But you're not touching anything else other than the power plate.
Well,
So
then you got to be also be able to say then that this is better than anything else, and you don't need anything else. And I'm not sure a lot of people would buy into that kind of narrative.
yeah,
So, but yeah, that's yeah, I can't think of too many places. I think the gym that we go to up in Connecticut, they have a couple, but I don't see anybody ever using them. But
I saw a few. I was at Exos maybe 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and I think they still have them laying around.
uh, yeah,
They're
yeah,
just there. I mean, they're not throwing them out. They're just there for,
right, right.
I don't know what they're doing with them, but
Anyway, well, that's some good stuff. It's good to catch up. It's I think it's a fun thing. A lot of people they think I'm from Canada, but I just have a work permit.
no, I'm
All
glad that
my
you're doing well with the team.
Yeah, it's no, well, hopefully what you're saying is true. By come January, February, those restrictions will be a little bit different, and we'll
Well,
be
I'm
able to
sure they'll
put.
be able to find a different. I mean, there's got to be a different way where you can fly into another. I mean, the two worst places right now are let's say
Yeah,
Toronto or Ontario and Quebec. So I'm sure they'll be able to find something. BC got bad, or Alberta got bad recently, but there's got to be places you can fly into that are, you know, they'll
yeah,
fly
maybe
the
we'll
guys out to
have a
Halifax.
camp. Yeah, have a camp somewhere else. Yeah, but I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what the plan is, but hopefully that'll happen. And you have anybody? You have any guys fighting soon?
Who's fighting? Nazrat, I think, is fighting in a couple weeks. But again, like the only person I've seen training here is George, and he's not fighting.
Yeah, he's done.
So like we have guys that are not they're not allowed doing any like if you're a mixed martial artist, definitely you're not coming to Montreal because you can't train.
Yeah,
They have this weird law that they came out with now that if I'm let's say you're alone with me, let's say you and your wife want to train with me at a gym, that's not allowed. But if you want to go to mixed martial art practice and grapple someone with no mask, that's allowed.
yeah,
So
yeah. We
it's
see the same thing. Like they have little pods, and like if it's the same, if you work with the same person every week, they're letting that go. I don't know why they consider it different. Lots of it's the same stuff here, where unfortunately the logic is not high, but hopefully
if you're a
there's a
fighter,
way.
you're going to Vegas, you're going to somewhere where you can actually get a real camp in and
Yeah.
train. You're not going
Well,
where you can't go in an actual gym to train.
they've done a fantastic job in Vegas with their bubble. I think what the NBA showed with the bubble, when you control the situation, you can control it. And I was a part of the Aura deal that when they got the rings in for the bubble that they have in Vegas.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and it's a little bit easier in UFC where the fighters are direct employees of it's not like there's a players association like there is in other North American professional sports situations where when you wear like the ring or something like Omega Wave where the stuff is perceived to be personal information, well then there's a battle in terms of how that information is used. But in UFC they don't really have those same limitations, so they
did they
have a
say
lot.
when the NBA is going to start up again, or
Well, it started
it's
yesterday.
done?
Yeah,
Done?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
done.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. They only announced half the schedule or a portion of the schedule in case there's some kind of trouble to get things done. So they're not going to run into canceling or rescheduling. But right now, camp started. Yep,
Because
camp
here's
is
the problem with the NHL. Think about it. These athletes have had, I don't know, 7 month off seasons, maybe eight
hmm
months since
yeah,
and there's no, there's no end in. Like I think what happened with the NFL is all these guys were rushed into a training camp with no preseason games and nobody was really training. Well, not nobody. There were some people who weren't training properly. That's where the injuries are. I'm worried about the same thing in the NHL now, is where they're going in to a training camp where they're going to say they're going to give them. You're starting, let's say January. We're already in December, so you're going to start January. You're coming to camp for 2 weeks, and then we're playing right away. No preseason games. So I don't know what the shape level of these guys are going to be, but
yeah, yeah. No,
it's dangerous.
it's terribly imperfect in all these different routes. And for the guys that I'm involved with, the most important thing is that people don't get sick.
Yeah,
And Secondly, you don't screw up a $13 billion, 16-week show.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's NBA started, and they're going to run a similar model to what the NFL is, where the guys go home at night. Where they're in the facilities are some very strict policies, but and then even when you go home, you're still beholden to a degree of those policies because you're going to go back to work the next day. But the other people in your home, or the cleaning lady or whatever, you kind of
they're
have to
allowed.
push that. Yeah, well, you have to push that on them, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they all. So, for instance, when I go where I go, I don't leave. I'm in the player's house, and that's it. The next time
but
I
also
leave
an
the house,
NBA locker room is a lot. There's a smaller roster than an actual NFL locker room.
yeah, I mean there's a lot of things differently. There's also a very different social dynamic in terms of discipline in an NBA locker room versus an NFL locker room. That's not a nice thing to say, but it's true.
Yeah,
And where there, it's just the way it is. But the Raptors had to go to Tampa. I mean, that's just
yeah, I
ironic. They
heard.
keep saying
Yeah,
Tampa.
yeah.
So I don't know where the NHL teams, unless
No,
like,
they're gonna do a so let's say all the Canadian teams are gonna play each other. So there'll be a Canadian division.
oh,
There'll
okay,
be
yeah,
a let's say metropolitan division where or an eastern division where all the let's say New York teams that are on the coast, let's say New York, Long Island, Philly,
Boston,
uh,
yeah,
yeah,
Washington.
they'll play each other, and then there'll be, you know, Vegas, Arizona, LA. I guess they'll have their own divisions, and
Yeah, yeah,
then they'll do a bubble later. It'll be like you'll play in your city for X amount of games. So it'll be, let's say they'll do 4 games in 7 nights,
yep.
and then you'll go back home, and you'll go to another city. So I think they're planning on like a 62 game season.
No, I appreciate the creativity. It'll be fun, but the NFL, some teams have been awesome, and other teams their number keeps getting called. So, we'll just we'll see how it maps out. So,
Yeah.
all right, man, we'll get back to the house and tell your wife and everybody else there we said hello, and thank them all for making me look good in front of all those players.
Well, I appreciate it. Stay safe out there.
All right, man. Be well. We'll talk to you
All
soon.
right. Take
All right,
care.
bye bye.
Bye.